ahead.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Deborah Castle, and it's my pleasure to be your presider today. If you're here for the first time, we have a welcome gift for you. Please see me after the presentation. 10% of all that we receive goes back into the community to bless and serve. Please help us know by filling out the forms in-house. For those of us joining you online, please comment in the online chat or an email. And for our first song, Emilio, if you could hop up there. And we have joy in our hearts.
Peaceful season, love every moment, light shines wherever we are, faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, sweet joy in our heart. Every day is a day choice to show some kindness. We're all a part of one family, so connected, our hearts and spirits. I reach out for you, you reach out for me. Peace for all season, love every moment, light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, sweet joy in our hearts. Now is the time to come together to count our blessings. We are grateful, we lift our voices in one chorus. My brothers, my sisters, let's celebrate. Peace for all season, love every moment, light shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy, sweet joy in our hearts. Let's celebrate peace, let's celebrate love, let's celebrate light that shines, shine, shine, shine. Let's celebrate faith, celebrate hope, let's celebrate joy, joy in our hearts. Peace, oh love, all the light that shines, shines. Faith and hope. I'm talking about joy in our hearts now. Peace for a season, love every moment, light that shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy in our hearts. Talk about peace for our seasons, love every moment, that light that shines wherever we are. Faith in the darkness, hope in the silence, joy in our hearts. Joy in our hearts. Joy in our hearts. In our hearts. Yeah. And live joy, love, peace. Back to laugh.
Hello, everybody. I'm Reverend Anna Hokangas, and just for those of you at home, we will have a few glitches when it comes to the presentation today. It seems that the YouTube algorithm has changed in how they're handling the songs that we're doing. And so they shut us down a little while ago during the meditation because of one of the songs that we've played before and wasn't an issue. And we have another song later on today that we're going to bypass, but the only way to bypass it is to turn the PowerPoint off, go to the next area, and then turn it back on. So please bear with us and know that, everything is fine. So let's go to that place in consciousness in prayer, that in spite of what seems to be obstacles, that the light of Spirit is right here guiding the way. And that sometimes chaos and challenges are just another opportunity to choose again. And that sometimes it's not my way, it needs to be the way, whatever that is. For I am at the heart of Spirit, and Spirit is all of me. And so today, rather than being my usual self, which is to push through things, I relax, I breathe, I allow things to unfold, I allow the wisdom to bubble up as to what is the next natural step. For I know I'm always guided, and it's all good, because it's all God. So I let go and I let it be so. Please join with me in affirming, and so it is.
Peace, that's a good song. How appropriate. We need this right now. Peace is the promise I make today. There's nothing greater for me to say than to lay down my fears, lay down unhappiness, and surrender to the peace I choose today. Peace is the gift that I give today. No easy shortcut. Peace is the way. I will lay down my pride, lay down self-righteousness, and surrender to the peace I choose today. today. Peace today.
Okay. Very nice. We're all in that lovely mood now. We've just relaxed. So the Absolute Word by Reverend Paul Hasselbeck. Today is mine to do. Oh my, doesn't get any better than that. I do what is mine to do and release the rest. Over the years, I've accepted more and more responsibility as I have grown in maturity and experience. I have also grown in my conscious and more skillful use of divine wisdom and understanding. So I am able to discern what is mine to do. I have learned what to take on and what to leave for others. Good point. I have also learned not to exhaust myself by taking on too many commitments. Importantly, I know when to use my powers of dominion and strength to make things happen and when to let them go. I recall times in my life when I felt frustrated that events did not unfold the way they were expected. I was going to say that, and that's for today. Even so, sometimes they unfolded in ways better than I could have imagined. I do what is mine to do, and I release the rest. I choose love. Thank you very much.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love. Love's always present. It's what I'm made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one tie that binds us that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace in my family is growing because I choose love. Let love be present. It's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one loving family, sharing one son. I choose love. For our planet is growing because peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present. It's what we're made of. I choose love. We are all part of each other. We are one choice unites us. Let this be the one. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love.
It's all my fault. I'm talking about descending into love. And isn't it interesting that even all the songs, the word, everything was reflective of what's going on? Let's get real. And descending into love really means choosing love over the foundational idea of fear. And that when we choose love, sometimes it's choosing to have faith in the unknown, faith in the what's going to unfold, rather than to try and maneuver with our own little mind somehow through something. So I'd like to look at that a little bit deeper. And it was interesting, I look at the metaphysics of everything that's going on all the time. And so I had issues with our website. I was telling you about that. And then it continued to be a problem. And so I had to do something to change that. I had to install some different software, and then it was working really well. And I thought the metaphor for that is also that sometimes to be in love, to choose love, there are things you have to do to put them in place to be able to do that. And that it doesn't always just end with, okay, I'm choosing to be loving now. What's the action that's required to allow that to unfold in the right way? And so when I made the change with the software, which in this case is called a plug-in, everything worked perfectly. And so I could have been in the place of frustration, which another word for that is fear of things not going right. It would have continued to happen. But I stopped for long enough to say, okay, what is mine to do here? And I got this gentle idea that, gee, try this. And when I did, everything was like, what, you had a problem before? So I invite you to think about that as you encounter anything that is other than peace and calmness and harmony. What might you be open to instead? So I'd like to look at the micro and the macro. We use those words in spirituality a fair bit, and I'd like to kind of dissect that for you just in case. And then 5 mindfulness teachings to help us to be and choose love and what that might look like. So what occurs in the microcosm of your individual life reflects the macrocosm of Spirit's vastness. Charles Fillmore learned that early on, and he talked about the 12 powers, and that those tremendous abilities, qualities, powers were part of Spirit, but they were also something that we could use. And so in our microcosm of our life, we can use things like imagination and power and discernment, and that they're available in infinite vastness in Spirit. So the quote means that you can understand the big picture of the universe by looking closely at your own life, and vice versa. If you look closely at your own life, you'll also understand how the rest of the world works. And the same fundamental patterns and rules that govern your individual existence also apply to the entire cosmos. So microcosm, the individual human being, seen as the little world, and the macrocosm, the great world, or the universe as a whole. So that's what those 2 words mean. If you ever hear of somebody saying, oh, the microcosm and the macrocosm, you and the all that is, basically in simple terms. So here's some examples. The cycles of change. Your personal life has seasons, periods of growth, decline, and rebirth. Where are you at in that, by the way? And this mirrors the seasons of the earth and the birth, the death, and the renewal of stars in the cosmos. Everything is in a constant cycle. And you may be having multiple cycles. You may have cycles in your relationships, cycles in your work world, cycles in your creativity, cycles in your health, cycles in your hormones, cycles in your aging. I mean, they're endless. So the web of connection, your thoughts and actions affect the people around you in a complex web of interactions. And I was keenly aware of this as I was watching a particular TV show. I don't remember what it was, but it was a woman who was saying, if I had only told my son this when he was younger, this wouldn't have happened now. And all of the interconnection of the things that happened in both their lives and in the lives of all kinds of people, because she chose fear rather than love at a time when she could have just said what she needed to say. And it was something to do with him being adopted or whatever. But it ended up, you know how TV shows tend to exaggerate everything. But the whole world kind of blew up because he didn't know until he was much older that this was the situation. So I think about our own hesitation to say something when we ought to, because we're afraid of what the consequences are. Most of the time, though, the consequences are worse and much bigger and affect a lot more people if you don't address it initially. At least that's been my experience. So everything is linked to everything else. And so when we say that the change can happen just because you make a decision, it's because we're so interconnected. So when you make a decision choosing love instead of fear or frustration or whatever other word you want to call for fear, you are changing the world in a way that you may not even be able to measure. So inner and outer reality, your inner world of thoughts, emotions, and beliefs shape your outer reality and experiences. We know that. Sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow, but we know that. So the universal mind and the physical world are deeply connected. I mean, if you could see things at an atomic level, there are no separations of anything. So ultimately, a deep, honest journey of self-discovery is a powerful way to gain wisdom about the universe. And I think that deep introspection has to start with your own curiosity about yourself. And then as you get to know who you are and how you function as a consequence of this greater everything, then you start to understand your impact on the world and also how the world can impact you. So as the saying goes, know thyself and you will know the universe. So due to your interconnectedness, your voice, choices, and actions impact those around you, whether you know it or not. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, you get to take responsibility for your influence on life. And that's a big one. And it might seem, well, I'm just little old me. But every choice you make, if it's made out of something other than love, then it has a negative consequence. In some way, it does. To people around you as well. It starts with you, your thoughts, your body, how you're feeling, your health, and it reflects out around you. So it's a huge responsibility. But the nice thing is that nobody gets to tell you what to do. You get to choose that yourself. So everything you say, choose, and do matters. You can embrace the responsibility through these 5 mindfulness teachings, guiding your voice, your choices, your actions with love and intention. So how to make love real? So cause and effect, we all know that that exists. When you create causes, which are things that make things happen, aligned with wholeness, the effects will be beneficial for all of life. So when you're thinking, well, I'll do this and I hope nobody else finds out, that's not making it from a standpoint of oneness. It seems silly, but how many times do we do that? Oh, I can't tell anybody. I'm just going to do this. You know what? Then that's one of those things that's going to come out and bite you in the you know what eventually, and it does. And so don't be afraid now, because there'll be so much more to be afraid of later if you don't bite the bullet now and be love. I can't think of another better. Bite the elephant? I don't know. Bite. If your life produces effects that aren't beneficial, you can return to the root causes within you. So, as I was having my challenging almost 2 weeks of computer stuff, I was in the little me. I have to find a way to do this. And it was only in those moments when I would sit back and say, okay, I don't know what to do next. I surrender to this. What is the next best move? And sometimes it's dialing the computer 911. And sometimes it's just waiting for the wisdom to bubble up. So descending into love means care for all of life. You're invited to welcome your connection with all beings. I had this joke that spiders came to live in my bathroom only in our house. Like they never went into Randy's bathroom or anywhere else. I never saw them anywhere else but my bathroom. So I became the Grim Reaper of spiders, And I would joke about it for a while, which meant that I drew more spiders to come and be Grim Reaper for, right? So then I realized that I was doing that. So are you doing that in some way about something? Because this is why I'm telling you this story. So I decided, okay, no, I don't want to be the Grim Reaper of spiders. I mean, I have to call Randy every time and say, help me. And I decided, no, you know what, you guys? If you're going to live in this space with me, I don't want to see you. Be somewhere where I don't see you. Because you're welcome here. I want you to eat all of the other bugs and do all of the stuff that you do. Yeah, like it's great. Just don't be in my face. Well, I have not seen but one in the last 6 months. And it came out from behind the mirror in my bathroom. And as soon as it saw me, it went back. So I know it works. So what have you been affirming? Because there's something in your life. I know I'm telling this story because some of you are hearing me and saying, I'm doing that. So everything you do influences the world. Your shopping influences the world, your travel, your food, your words, waste, and even your thoughts. I mean, we are influencing such a huge way. And we're fortunate to have lived through something called the pandemic, where we had the opportunity to look at our shopping, look at our travel, look at the food that we were eating, and even look at the relationships we had or didn't have because of it. So you can't separate yourself from the world. Your existence is intertwined. Even if you're just sitting in your house and never leave, you're still consuming things, right? You're affecting the world. So how do your actions affect your home, family, and community and world? How might you think that they affect it? It's a big question, isn't it? You take any action that you do, like going shopping at Costco instead of your local grocer. Or what else might be an action? Ordering stuff on Amazon, yeah. And that's all having to do with shopping. So how about your actions having to do with, let's say, going out for a walk and you see garbage on the side of the road. Do you stop and pick it up? Some people step over it. So the more that we're aware of this interconnectedness, I think the bigger difference we can make. And, if you say to me, well, I don't have time to be doing that. Well, who does then? Whose responsibility is it? Because I think anything that's in front of me is there for a reason. And what's that reason? So your actions touch the lives of others, whether through spending choices, votes, social media posts, a burden and a responsibility and a gift. Because on the other side of it, the actions are, if I smile at somebody today, maybe that's the only smile they'll receive today. If I notice them and acknowledge them, maybe that's the only time, or maybe that's the perfect time they needed to be acknowledged. Ernest Holmes, who is the writer of The Science of Mind, says, love points the way and the law makes the way possible. And what he means by that is that you have desires and urges and this compelling need to be loving and kind and compassionate. And that's just naturally hardwired in you. And that there is this law of the universe that as you are, you get more opportunities to do that. So love is powerful, and emotions like jealousy, hatred, contempt can also point the way, though they lead to harm. So I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of love and fear, but fear is basically the catch-all word for things like jealousy, hatred, contempt, anything that is other than love. So choosing love as your guiding force creates a foundation for positive outcomes. And when love leads and the law works in your favor, it manifests your desires and dreams. So I invite you, be as loving as you can, first to yourself and to those around you, and see what happens. Cultivate love. Let love be your compass and trust the law to create abundance, joy, and fulfillment. And you might say to me, yeah, but if I really, really say what's the most loving thing I can say to protect me, I'm going to create problems, and there might be chaos, and there might even be fighting. You have to honor you first. You have to, because if you don't, ultimately it becomes a bigger thing. So awareness of suffering doesn't actually create suffering. Would you say that's true? Being aware of it doesn't create it. It offers an opportunity to realign our attention, our thoughts, and our beliefs. So if you're suffering or someone else is suffering, we touched on that a little bit last week, but if you're suffering, it's usually because things aren't going the way that you want them to, somehow. And that if you can pay attention to that and say, okay, and that's an emotional kind of suffering, what might I focus on instead? And perhaps it's gratitude. Maybe it's as simple as gratitude. I'm grateful that I'm breathing. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to notice this. Or if someone else is suffering, I talked about Dr. Michael Beckwith, who said that basically sacred service is to not give more energy to the suffering of others, but to in some way be able to lift them up. And even if lifting them up is just to give them a smile. So though uncomfortable, awareness of suffering, yours and others, opens the door to recognize what isn't working and what causes hardship. And yeah, it's a learning. So from awareness, you can begin to shift, starting with affirmations, prayer, research, seeking help, or trying new approaches. Sometimes it means carrying placards to make everyone else aware that there is something that's just not right going on here. That may not be yours to do, but for some, that's exactly the thing to do. So begin with love. Trust its guidance and watch as the law harmonizes to express a new way of living. And that's the word there to remember is trust. Because sometimes to choose love, you have no idea what's going to happen. But it's always better than if you didn't. So when you listen with compassion, you're offering healing. And when you speak with kindness, you create harmony. I invite you this week to do the best that you can to not talk very much. And just listen. Ask questions of those around you. Not yes or no questions, but questions that require an answer. And then listen. And see how that feels. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but we spend a lot of time on our own, many of us, and aren't out and about with people. And so there's this need to kind of let everything out and share what's going on and that kind of thing. And so if you recognize that everyone else is needing to share, how might you be the recipient of that sharing instead of the one giving the information? Try it. It's an interesting exercise. Practicing this training requires patience, humility, and the willingness to release the need to be right or to put in your 2 cents. I remember I had a girlfriend back when I was in my 20s, and our conversations were like ping pong matches. I would say something that was going on. She would tell me the exact same kind of thing that she had going on. And it just went back and forth. We never resolved anything. We never had any satisfaction in our conversations either, because neither of us was listening. We were waiting to tell them what we had to tell them. And it was exhausting. She would go her way and I'd go mine, and we'd both be like, not realizing what it was. But it was that, and we both were very capable of listening, but somehow we missed it in our relationship with each other, and that's why we don't have one now. It got too hard. So words carry power. By choosing them wisely, you can uplift, heal, and inspire others, reinforcing your connectedness. Because, there are ways to say things, right? And there are ways to say things that are, they might be true, but they're not so kind. So this is something, NVC, anybody know what that stands for? Nonviolent communication. And the way that I remember the technique of nonviolent communication is this acronym, OFNR, or I call it OFNR. So it means you make a statement about observing the situation. You state your feelings about it. You state your needs because of it. And then you ask for some kind of a response. Will the other person do that? Not necessarily. But it's not typically how we approach someone when we've got something that's maybe critical to say, but we're not that comfortable to say it. So observing something, what might we talk about? Okay, let's talk about toilet seat. And some people leave the toilet seat up and some, forget to put it down. Instead of saying, you just always leave the toilet seat up and it's really bothering me and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And what kind of response do you think you're going to get? It's not, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. No, it's not usually. But if you say, well, I noticed that the toilet seat was up again, they may still get their back up, but it's been a kinder way to say it. And I feel embarrassed every time I go to sit down and I forget that the toilet seat's up and I end up sitting on the cold porcelain. And I feel like I'm going to fall off. And so I have this need for the toilet seat to be down, even if the lights are out, because I really, really prefer to sit on the toilet seat. Now, I know that's a stupid example, but can you see how you can use that in just about anything? So give me an example and I'll play it out for you. What might be a situation that's difficult to talk about? Nobody can come up with anything. Anybody at home? I hear people whispering to each other, but nobody's coming up. Okay, so let's say somebody's late all the time. And they're perpetually late. And this time you told them, like, you really have to be here on time because we need to, whatever it is. So to say, and maybe it's not at that moment because that's a crisis kind of moment. You do what you got to do and you deal with it. But it's afterwards to sit with someone and say, I noticed that you were really late this time. And it really bothers me when I've gone to all the effort to tell you that, this was really important to me. I have a need to at least be heard when it's really important for me. That could you the next time, if you don't think that you can make it on time, please let me know. Now that's a nicer way to come around it, but that's saying the observations, the feelings, the needs, and the response. But normally we respond with you. instead of I, me. This is what I observed. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I need. This is what I would love to have as your response. And then they can say, well, go pound salt. Or, okay, I'll try. But it's a very mechanical way when you're having a difficult situation to try and resolve it. The interesting thing is that when we were studying this technique at Unity Village, by the way, the teacher kind of gave the overall of how it works, and then she wanted it to be an example. So she used one of the students as the example. But the student took everything she said as a personal affront. And she was just using it like a playful example. I don't even remember what it was. But it ended up being that this woman that she was using as the example started practically yelling. It came to the point, it was about an hour into the class, and it was still going on, and the teacher's maintaining this calm composure, observing feelings, need, response, which you can just imagine someone who's riled up was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, that even I don't know what you call the head of the school at Unity School, but came actually to the classroom because they heard there was a ruckus going on, saying like, is there anything we need to do to intervene? And it was the next day when we came back to class again that we then discussed that scenario and how it can backfire. It doesn't always work, but it's a technique that you can try. So I will never forget that. Or nonviolent communication.
Did the person that was taking exception to it, did she or he come to the class next day?
Yes, they did. And they were still determined to be right. So, and it was right about nothing. It was some crazy example, but it obviously pushed a button for her. And whatever that button was, I was never privy to it. I'm sure they had multiple consultations after the class. But it was to the degree that they weren't going to even offer the class anymore for us ministry students because they couldn't handle it. It needed more than 1 or 2 hours, like you needed a week or whatever to really learn it well. So that's the other thing, is how can you be loving? So the administration in that case, to be really loving in that situation, pulled the plug on it because that was the best thing to do, the most loving thing to do. So let's look at nourishment and healing. Let's move on. Nourishment is more than the food that you eat. It's everything that you consume. Your conversations, your media, ideas, relationships. Mindful nourishment means making choices to support your health, joy, spiritual growth, avoiding what harms. So how might you be more nourishing for yourself or for someone else? Healing begins with a conscious intake of what nurtures your body, mind, and spirit. And I don't think we get to this stage in life without knowing when we're saying, oh, well, just this time, I'll ignore what really nourishes me and I'll do this thing that doesn't. We all have bad habits. Emilio's shaking his head. No, he has no bad habits.
That's exactly what I'm going to say. Eat more ice cream.
Eat more ice cream, or maybe someone else might say, just have more chocolate if you're having an issue with something. But make it the 70%. It's better for you. So that's the nourishment part. So the 5 mindfulness teachings help to align your voice, your choices, and your actions with the love and meaning that you really want to have in your life. So cause and effect, how are you causing and what are the effects? Love and law, can you prove that love works? Try it and see. Awareness of suffering, being aware of it, but how can you be love in the midst of it? Deep listening, try and be a listener this week. Now, I know for those of you that are here, it's going to be pretty hard to have coffee if all of you are trying to listen, right? Maybe you can agree to say, okay, well, I'll take 5 minutes and then you take 5 minutes. And then nourishment and healing. So what area of your life might you be more nourishing to yourself, to your community, to the people who are around you? Because you can live as love, because you are love. It's easier than you think. So if you want to say this with me, I'd appreciate it. Today I practice being love, remembering my interconnectedness, and easily contribute to a more peaceful, compassionate, and loving world. And so it is, because love wins. And I'll ask you, Emilio, if you would go into the office first. So when we come up to the Barbara Streisand song, I want them to take the PowerPoint down, move ahead to whatever is the slide after the song, so that it doesn't play the music all the way through. So do you want to do this song first and then go over? Okay.
Okay. Okay. You turn the news on, you get your blues on from all the negativity. It's hard to wrap yourself around what's going down on TV. You can stress, second guess, you can think about it way too hard, or you can move the conversation from your head to your heart. Sometimes it's a matter of just letting go and holding on to the one thing we know. Love wins, love wins. That's where the circle of life begins. It's the one simple lesson we're learning again and again. Love wins. We all matter. It doesn't matter if you're on one side or the other, as long as we find a way to get along with one another. We can agree to disagree, or maybe even realize to see another point of view when you look from someone else's eyes. Sometimes it's a matter of just letting go and holding on to the one thing we know. Love wins, love wins. That's where the circle of life begins. It's the one simple lesson we're learning again and again. Love wins whenever you give it a chance. It is the one hope that everyone has to live a better world for us all. Love wins, love wins. That's where the circle of life begins. It's the one simple lesson we're learning again and again. Love wins. That's where it all begins. Love wins. We learn it again and again. Love wins. That's where it all begins. Love wins. We learn it again and again. Love is the lesson. Love wins. That's where it all begins. Love is the lesson. Love wins. We learn it again and again. Love is the lesson. Love wins. That's where it all begins. Love is the lesson. Love wins. We learn it again and again. Love is the lesson. Love wins. So, bye-bye.
That was a lot. I don't know about you, but I was starting to make notes and I thought I'm going to lose my spot if I keep writing. But I find this totally fascinating how things happen for a reason. This is all about what happened to me this morning. Honestly, every morning I wake up, I get myself ready because I'm going to take the dog for a walk, do my gratitude journal, and my purpose is to take the dog out for a walk and say hello. Anybody that I see just walking along the street, just say hello. This morning, there was a lady that came up to me, just moved into the neighborhood, recently widowed, didn't have, her daughter was away at a camp. And I started talking to her, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is really interesting. But you know what? We ended up exchanging phone numbers, and we're going to get together. So I just thought, how wild is that? Honestly, it was this morning. So very much in line with what you were talking about in terms of connecting with people. Just totally fascinating. So that was my takeaway, right? I was just like, okay, Deborah, you're on the right track. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share? Okay, you have to turn it off.
How about, can you use yours?
There we go.
They could do the PowerPoint while we're doing this.
I turned mine off.
I'm going to go back there first. You know, when you talked about seeing a piece of garbage and picking it up, it's amazing who's watching and who cares and who it matters to. My great-grandmother, my grandfather, he put a broom down, laid it down, and watched which sister, because there was 4 sisters, and he wanted to pick one to marry, and he watched which one stepped over it and which one bent over, and only one bent over and picked it up. The other 3 stepped over it. So that was his bride. So you never know what may result. She will, yeah, but she saw things and did and picked up. And so it was simple. It was a great marriage. But anyway, so yeah, you never know. You're doing that, it benefits the whole thing. Thank you.
Oh, yes. So I was going to comment on the picking up stuff when you're walking too, because having a dog, I always have poo bags, and because Gracie only weighs 9 pounds, little dog's little poo, so there's always room in the bag for something else, and so I just our condo corporation. They do such an amazing job of keeping the place beautiful, and even out in the street outside there's a wall around it, but even outside on Plains Road, they look after that as well. So I figure that's my job, just to make sure it stays as nice as they want it.
So I believe we're at conscious giving now. So if everybody could say this with me, that would be great. So divine love that I am blesses all I give and all I receive. Okay.
Tell them to
Yep.
go to do the PowerPoint now.
Okay.
So we could talk amongst ourselves while we're waiting for them to readjust the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So it'll take just a moment.
Can I also do
Anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, I was going to say, should I do the thank you all for supporting our community?
Sure.
Okay, there we go. We'll just jump ahead and come back. Thank you all for supporting our community in the many ways that you do, financially and by volunteering. I noticed there was a sheet there for us to volunteer. I'm happy to be a hostess, just so you know. Clark said he would clean up, so we're all good. We just need a few bodies in between. And then this allows us to provide these services on a weekly basis. So you can give whatever matters to you.
Okay, thank you. So let's join in prayer and say this together. The light of God surrounds you. I am the light. The love of God enfolds you. I am the love. The power of God protects you. I am the power. The presence of God watches over you. I am the presence. Wherever you are, God is. Wherever I am, God is. And all is well. And for those of you watching online, or those of you that go on our website, there is a prayer request form there now that comes directly to me. So you can fill that out if you have a prayer request. And our final song, I know that there are people at home that love this song, Love Train by the OJs.
Start a love train, love train. World, join hands. Start a love train, love train. The world, join hands. Start a love train, love train.
So as you're choosing love this week, know that you can pivot like we did today. There are ways around it, and they may not be exactly the way that you would like them to be, but they're the best that you can in any given moment. So be love this week. See you next week. I love you. Bye for now.